Hello once again everyone, and welcome to Out of the Box episode 5, a series in which I aim to showcase games that work with minimal effort and out of the box for Steam Deck VR. This is going to be another special episode like it was for episode 4 where we only covered one game, and the reason I wanted to just do another one-off special is because I found a game that worked and I really didn't expect it to work, and I think like me you'll be surprised at the game that it is. So let's move on and find out what game I'm talking about. So the game we'll be focusing on in today's episode is called Pavlov VR. Now, it has been around for a long time, and I don't know if all of you are familiar with Pavlov VR. It was made by a developer called Bankrupt Games, and it was originally released in 2017 and was later ported to Meta headsets, so you can get this on standalone, but I think it's called Pavlov Shach, which is a slightly stripped down version of the game that we're looking at now. So it retails on Steam for usually about £20 in the UK, but recently it has been going on sale for about £14, which I think is relatively cheap for what we're able to get here. So the question you're probably asking yourself is, what is Pavlov VR? Pavlov VR is a first-person shooter in the same vein as games like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six. The only difference is it's all in VR. While the time to kill and the general gameplay does push it towards a more arcadey shooter, it does tend to feel more of a military sim with how interactive the VR is. So reloading is done by grabbing ammo from your belt and putting it into the gun, and you've got to also cock the gun, and specific guns have specific reload types. So for first timers, you'll probably have to learn how to reload each gun because it's not as easy as it looks. Even as quite a long-term player, I still do struggle to reload the big heavy machine gun because usually you have to feed the bullets into the side and then you've got to pull the catch back, and it is really interactive for a VR game. There's also the added pressure on top of that about the fact that it is a shooter, so while you're trying to do all these actions like reloading a gun, pulling out the knife, pulling pins on grenades, you're also getting shot at by other players, so it just turns into a bit of a mad scramble, to be honest. I played it online a few times, and when you're in a lobby with a lot of new players, it genuinely just turns into a bit of a shit show. You'll see players frequently dropping the guns, dropping the magazines out of the guns, trying to find something on the floor, but I think that's part of the overall game's charm, if I'm honest. But once you get used to how it works, you learn how to reload all the guns, and you get a feel for where everything is on your virtual body. It is an absolute blast. You can choose to play this online, as I said before, but you can also play against bots, and there is a huge mapping community for this game. So any of your favourite maps for any of your favourite first-person shooters, you'll probably be able to find it within the community mapping tab. So why have I chose to feature it in an out-of-the-box episode? Well, as you can see from the gameplay above, it works for Steam Deck VR, performance is really consistent, and the game is fully functional. There are a few little caveats though, which I'm just going to cover really quickly. To get the game to run, we do need to use a specific launch command, which I will leave in the description if you want to try this for yourself. And we do need to set the game to Proton Experimental just to make sure that it runs. And while loading times when inside the game are relatively quite short, there is one long load just for when you first launch the game, which can get a bit annoying. But once you get past that initial load, everything else is fine. It doesn't take too long to join matches and to load other maps. Everything works completely fine. So the graphics options that I used for my Steam Deck, I ended up putting the scaling down just slightly. I didn't feel like I needed to put it down this much, but to be honest, it still looked fine to me. I turned the anti-alias to low, and I made sure the textures were kept at medium, and I just kept the effects at ultra. And just one more last thing I just want to touch on is that the file size for the game is quite large. You are looking at about a 74GB install, but if you've got a SD card, that shouldn't be no problem for you. The download may take a while, but it will be 100% worth it when you get into the game. If you love games like Counter-Strike, then I guarantee you'll have a blast playing this game, and the VR just adds a lot more immersion. I'm just going to let the gameplay roll for a little bit, so you can sort of have a look, see the performance, and get a feel for what the game's about. I'll come back in another minute or so. And with that, we've come to the end of episode 5 of Out of the Box. I know it wasn't as long as some of the other episodes that we've done, but I just wanted to make sure that I covered this game because I was really surprised that it worked. It was a long install, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to work in the slightest. I just thought I'd give it a try because it's been sitting in my VR library for quite a while. And it is quite a prominent VR title. It's had a lot of history within the VR community, and it has got a massive following. It was recently released for PlayStation VR. I say recently, it's probably longer than recently, but still, I thought it was definitely worth a mention in one of our Out of the Box episodes because other than the launch command and a few other little things, it does work straight out of the box. So anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you like the content, a subscription hopefully to help the channel grow. Stay safe and I'll see you in the next video.